Judy Wexler is a Billboard and Jazz Week charting jazz vocalist who, over the course of her 20-year career, has headlined jazz festivals, performing arts centers, and leading jazz clubs, both nationally and internationally. Jazz Times magazine called her one of the most compelling jazz vocalists on the West Coast. I was thoroughly taken by Judy's latest release, No Wonder. There are many jazz singers vocalizing standards these days, most based in the mold of Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, Abbey Lincoln, and Nina Simone. While Judy certainly pays homage to those greats, she also gives her music a unique twist with physical, articulate phrasing, unique conceptions, a powerful delivery, and deep readings of older material that opens the music in fresh ways. These also influence her own compositions. Bracing, punchy, communicative, and definitely swinging, Judy acquits herself exceptionally well on No Wonder, bringing her distinctive singing style to such classics as The Summer Knows, You Stepped Out of a Dream, Never Will I Marry, Slow Hot Wind, The Night We Called It a Day, and more, plus her own compositions. Hope you enjoy this interview with Judy Wexler. Greetings and thank you for coming back to my channel. I'm going to interview a very excellent vocalist who I knew as in another realm of her life. We're not here to talk about that, but Judy Wexler, and we're talking about her new record, No Wonder. And I have to say, I was so impressed with the performances, the arrangements, the recording quality. This is such a focused, so beautifully performed and powerful CD. There's so much great music on here. I believe it's all standards. Or are any of these yours?
Nothing original. There are a couple of outliers, so they're not 100% standards, but my intention was to do a mostly standards album.
And you really mine the standards for all they're worth, and there's just such a degree of care and execution of performance on this CD. I mean, I get tons of CDs. This one really jumps out at you, both for your performance, the band's performance, and the arrangements. Who did the arrangements?
So I have been working for the last 19 years with a Los Angeles pianist arranger who did almost all the arrangements, and his name is Jeff Kral. And before I met him, right before I met him in early 2006, he had just lost his boss, who was Lou Rawls.
Oh,
so
wow.
He was Lou Rawls' musical director for 16, 17 years.
Wow.
You know, everywhere, worldwide. And even wrote a song with him. And so Lou had just died. And that's when I met Jeff. And then I've been working with him ever since.
Does he bring the musicians, or is this your band on the CD?
This is my band, and I'm pretty bossy too. So I know who, we all know, LA, great players in LA, just amazing players. So boy, am I lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we agreed on people.
Right. I know Bob Shepard's name. I don't know the other people, though. Can you run down the musicians? I don't have the CD.
Sure thing. So there's
Hold up the CD first.
Okay. This is No Wonder. My husband, Alan Wexler, designed the cover and designed the whole package.
You're in Glendale, California.
I'm in Glendale, California, between the two valleys.
Really, what's this? San Fernando and what?
San Gabriel.
Oh.
So I'm in between Studio City, Sherman Oaks, and Pasadena. So Glendale. I am an LA file. I love Los Angeles. I don't care what anybody says. I was born and raised here. I didn't live here all my life, but boy, do I appreciate it, because there's everything here. Absolutely everything you could imagine is here.
Yeah, it's great. I love LA. I've been there and can't remember when I was there last.
So I'm going to run down the personnel on my album. So primarily Jeff Kral, pianist arranger of most of the songs, and he's a phenomenal arranger. Gabe Davis on bass, and he is the bass player. There are a few bass players that I fancy in particular, and he's my first call bass player. So we've done ton of gigs together. On drums is Steve Haas. He's been on 6 of the 7 albums that I've done. Bob Shepard appears on 2 songs, mostly cameo appearances on the ballad Slow Hot Wind. His soprano sax, I think, oh my God, that solo is so gorgeous. And he also plays clarinet, because I found out his first instrument was clarinet. So not everybody plays clarinet, so great. But we wanted Bob. First of all, he's a friend. And second of all, the song that he played clarinet on was Dance Me to the End of Love, which is the Leonard Cohen song, not quite a jazz standard, but I wanted to do that song in particular because it's really about the Holocaust. Leonard Cohen wrote that about the Holocaust. And October 7th affected me very, very deeply. And I wanted to make my little statement in my CD. And so I asked Jeff to arrange it as a klezmer tune. So he did, and there's very, very Jewish licks throughout, which I really appreciate. Jay Jennings, who is the trumpeter for Snarky Puppy, is the trumpeter, also plays flugelhorn. And Danny Janklow, who is 31 years old, phenomenal woodwinds player. He plays alto flute, tenor, alto, sax.
Well, you can tell this is a bunch of LA ringers. These guys play so great, and it's so superbly performed. You can tell these are the real cats, and that really comes across. It's so beautifully performed. I'm curious, how do you and it's not Ron Galella, what's his first name? Jeff Galella. How do you guys, what goes back and forth to build these arrangements?
After I presented the tune, in some instances, I will say, like, for example, with Dance Me to the End of Love, I will be specific and I will say, I want this to sound klezmerish. So that's his direction. On other things, I just let, some things I'll just go, I just want this as a medium swing, or I want this super up tempo. I mean, some songs just, they call for what they are. Right. They're going to call, like Firm Roots, it's going to be up tempo swing, it's going to be, that's what it is. You really can't do it any other way. So, with this CD, I specifically, though, asked Jeff, because he's so good at this, to do 2-horn arrangements mostly throughout the album. So out of the 12 tracks, 10 of the tracks feature 2-horn arrangements, which made me, it's like, I just love that sound. And he had, on my second album in 2008, he did one arrangement of Delilah, kind of based on the Max Roach Clifford Brown version. That kind of was a big hit, especially here at the LA Jazz Station. It was the #2 track that they played the entire year in 2008. It got a ton of airplay. And but it wasn't just that. It was just that I just loved it so much. So I just went, wow, I'd love to have a whole CD like that, which is kind of what he did.
You mentioned the Leonard Cohen song. With I have the CD, but I don't have I do have a CD player, but I was streaming it on Spotify this morning. Mm-hmm. And it just says all the songs are by Judy Wexler. It doesn't give any credits. But I looked up the Leonard Cohen song, and I was, that's a Leonard Cohen song. Even that's an unusual choice. And so for you, one reviewer said you were like an archaeologist.
Right.
That's a really good description, because you find some of these songs are really well known, but some of them are not. And the way you sort of pull them all out and polish them, and what's your method for researching songs you want to do for a new record?
Well, on this album, No Wonder, since the 6 prior albums, with the exception of Back to the Garden, which was jazz arrangements of 60 songs, mostly some Summer of Love-ish kind of songs. So those were all, everybody knew those songs. With the exception of Back to the Garden, most of my albums have been more obscure songs. Like this album is so different for me, and I specifically
they're not all obscure. You know, Leonard Cohen's kind of obscure for a jazz thing.
Yeah, for a jazz thing. And, you know, not many people have recorded No Wonder, the Luciana Souza composition. By the way, she arranged that. That's her original arrangement.
How cool.
So, you know, there's only 2 other people I can think of who've recorded that, which is Luciana and Kate McGarry, and both of whom are friends of mine. And I've admired them so much over the years. So, and I love that tune. So, so all the other albums featured songs that were really off the beaten track. And my way, and this one, I felt if I'm going to do standards, I want them to be the hip standards, not My One and Only Love, which one year I think I cataloged how many hundreds of recordings of that song. So I wanted it to be standards that are not as recorded as the most recorded standards.
Hold on a second. Let me sure. Find my CD. Hold on. I played it at the I'm at the Jazz Record Center every Saturday. I don't know why, but I am. And I played it there.
Because you love it.
I mean, I have a long history with the owner, and he's helped me out when I've had, you know, been down the dumpster, had problems. And right before, he's almost 80, right before COVID, I'll cut this out, his wife died. And then 2 years ago, I broke my ankle, and I live in a 7th floor walk up.
Oh, Jesus.
It was really brutal, the recovery. And he would go grocery shopping for me every weekend and wouldn't let me pay him after the fact.
Oh, my God.
So the day I started walking on my birthday, July 15th, whenever that was, 22. Anyway, the next day, his son died in a mosh pit accident. So,
oh my God.
And his son was this amazing, he made beautiful heavy metal guitars, custom guitars. And yeah, he passed out and never woke up. So it was like, you know, he looked after me, so I sort of look after him. We're sort of intertwined. I like working for him. Really hard to work with. It sort of sets the mark for a lot of vinyl records across the world. We do auctions every week. He got $12,000 for the absolute first pressing of Blue Train.
Wow.
And he just, you know, has been doing it for 40 years. So that's why I'm still there for some strange reason. And I'm a record addict.
Oh, yeah, loyalty.
So cut that. So yes, I see. There's No Wonder in Luciana Souza. The Summer Knows. What a beautiful song that is. What a
Isn't it beautiful?
Song.
It's so beautiful.
The Night We Called It a Day. What a great, I think of that as a Sinatra classic. Never Will I Marry. That's kind of an oddball, cool choice. I Don't Know, Wish You Were Here. I Don't Know, Firm Roots. That's a Cedar Walton tune. Slow Hot Wind, of course, famous Henry Mancini, I Wish You Love. So yeah, they're unusual. They're not just the usual standards. Like you pull these little weird nuggets.
And Weaver of Dreams. I think that one's a little on the hipper side too, in my opinion.
Yeah. So what possesses you to do The Summer Knows? People don't. Michelle Legrand was so great. The almost opposite atmosphere. Never Will I Marry. What are you searching for in the standards you want to cover?
Well, okay. Confession. I used to be an actress, and that was, you know, I was always musical, you know, piano lessons at the age of 5 and etc.
Musical family?
My father, you know, it's interesting because my brother just sent me some video of, my parents are long gone, but my dad used to sing a lot, you know, kind of inappropriately. He would go down, like he would do the grocery shopping and I'd go with him sometimes, and he'd just be singing to whatever music was on. I'm like,
I love that. Great, you know, I love that.
Now, if I had the chance, I'd probably get a big kick out of that,
Yeah.
because he could care less, he just loves singing. So my brother
Oh,
just yesterday sent me an old video of my dad. It featured my dad singing. I went, gee, he sounds really good. I said to my
wow.
brother, did you doctor this? Which he didn't, but he I guess I just didn't remember how good he sang. And, of course, no training, no nothing.
Right.
So he was a very frustrated wannabe musician. He wanted to play the saxophone. So he was very strict when it came to me. He, starting me out on piano. So I can't say I came from a musical family because I'm very envious of people who do. I feel how lucky.
There's a lot of music around you growing
There
up.
was always music.
Right.
And as soon as I got competent enough, my parents were very social. So he would pull out the Yiddish songbook. He would put it on the piano and go, Judy, okay, accompany me. And so I'd have to go through every song in the Yiddish songbook.
Wow.
He
She
played,
must be a good piano player. You.
I was okay. I was okay for a kid. I got through. I was a good sight reader. And then, as I got older, I studied jazz piano in earnest with Terry Trotter. Do you know who Terry Trotter is? He was, when Terry was like 17, Miles Davis asked him to be his piano player
Wow.
and go on the road with him. And
When was that? What era?
well, Terry's he's got to be in his 80s, so maybe 70 years ago. Does that make sense?
70s or 80s, right?
70
Wow.
years. So, but he didn't go because at that time he didn't want the drug life. And then when Bill Evans was too stoned to do his gig, Terry was the fill-in player for Bill Evans.
Wow.
I don't know what club that was, but so, and then, if Bill stumbled in or whatever, then he relinquished the piano. And
So that's who you studied piano with.
I
Terry
studied
Trotter.
piano with Terry, yes, for 3.5 years. It was very intimidating and I learned a lot. And then at some point, his wife at the time, who was a friend of mine, she just said, Judy, you're never going to be as good as these guys. They've been doing it for forever.
Right.
And even though I played since I was 5, I didn't have the jazz. I didn't have the vocabulary. I didn't have everything you need. I was dedicated, but it's not enough at the age I was. So it was kind of a favor, I think, because now I play with phenomenal people, but my goal at the time was to be like Blossom Dearie and accompany myself.
So tell me how all of that influenced your choice of obscure standards now.
I think, well, as I mentioned with the theater background, and the feedback I get from people, maybe critics or what have you, is that I'm a storyteller. So for me, of course, what singers have, what instrumentalists don't, are the words, of course. So it's all important to communicate the story of the song. So if there's a good, I'm just more attracted to songs that not everybody's done. And maybe sometimes I think, is that part of being insecure? Like, am I not approaching some of these more obvious standards because, oh, I'm never going to do it as good as this person?
I don't know. I think audiences would probably be happy. Who needs to hear some of these endless, cut BGO? I don't know if WBGO plays your music, but that is the most uncreative.
No, they don't.
They're so horrible. They play the worst direct, and it'll be standards you've heard a million times or some funk thing. It's just like, I think people are very happy to hear maybe standards they know and ones they aren't as familiar with the way you're doing it. I mean, it's great to hear Michel Legrand and that Sunday, that summer. I don't know who that is. The night we called it a day. I mean, I hear some of these song titles and I'm excited. They're so different.
Oh, good. Well, Rhonda Hamilton, who moved from BGO, she moved to Los Angeles, and she, in my opinion, she totally transformed K jazz. So now she and her husband have become friends of ours. And I just had her at my birthday party in April, and I love them. And I believe she has transformed that station.
Wow.
And
Are they playing you there?
oh yeah, they played me a lot there. They
Yeah, I mean BTO just anyway, whatever. I think people are happy. People who are drenched in jazz and understand it and love the standards, I think they're happy to hear something different. And you perform them with such energy and zeal, and you really
Thanks, Ken.
mind them and you swing. It's just
Thank you.
it's beautifully done. If you would hold up, you've made 7 records. Hold up the CDs that you have there.
Okay, this again is No Wonder, released earlier this year in January. The prior one is Back to the Garden. This is also with Jeff Colella, and it's 60s. It's arrangements, jazz arrangements of 60 songs, and there are some tracks that feature really layered background vocals done by Erin Bettledge, who's in the vocal group Sage, or
Oh,
how
really?
you
I know that.
pronounce
Oh,
it.
how cool.
She's so amazingly
Wow.
talented. So, I did things like Up on the Roof and Forever Young, Bob Dylan, Carole King.
Did you do them
Um,
like with a jazz interpretation or
yes, jazz interpretation, Big Yellow Taxi, Get Together, which I think we need to play a lot these
great
days.
song? Yeah.
And American Tune, which, boy, talk about prescient lyrics. I know things were
Wow.
tough in 1970 when Paul Simon wrote that, but those lyrics, sometimes I'm practicing at home, I'll just burst out crying, just singing these lyrics. It's
Those are great song choices, and they're not the typical. Somebody would do that and usually not do an American tune. That's just
really, oh,
you
well,
guys have really good taste.
and okay, and so this one is Crowded Heart. This was a collaboration with Alan Pasqua, who is another phenomenal piano player and arranger, quite different in style than
Was it
Jeff.
just is it just vocals and piano?
No, no, no. I say collaboration because it took me a year to find all the 10 tunes on the album, and I had to run them by Alan. So what my concept for this was, at heart, is I wanted to do what I considered modern jazz standards that were written in the last 10 years, because and I also talked to Ted Gioia too, who wrote the history of the jazz standard. And
Huh.
what makes a standard, of course, is that people record them a lot. People record them. So over the years, and most of the things songs we call standards are culled from Broadway musicals from the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So my concept was to find songs that I felt could be modern jazz standards by contemporary jazz writers. Another Luciana Souza, Gregory Porter, Painted on Canvas, I thought was
Love him.
standard. I think one of the songs that I think might be the quintessential example of a standard is by Georgia Mancio and Alan Broadbent. Excuse me. And
Which song is that?
that is The Last Goodbye.
Oh,
And the lyrics are phenomenal. And of course, Alan Broadbent's a great composer. And so, and they are a team. They've done several recordings together. So they write, all, their recording, it's all their original music, just as a duo. And Georgia was lovely and sent me this tune, and it was, it's about, the lyrics are about someone who's passing by a house that they used to live in, and all the memories, and the person that the beloved that is no longer there, and the feelings that it brings up. So I just think I think that really should be a jazz standard.
Which record did you record that?
Yeah, that's the last goodbye on this one, Crowded Heart.
Oh, okay.
On that one, yeah. So I did a Renee Marie song. I did a song by Enrico Piranunzi with lyrics by Lorraine Feather. I took your hand. I did a Larry Goldings song, It's Only Smoke. And I did an Alan Pasqua original, And We Will Fly, with lyrics by Kurt Elling. And Crowded Heart. You're familiar with Sina E. From Copenhagen. I think you reviewed.
Oh yeah.
You did a live review of one of her shows in
right.
Maybe Dizzy's, I think it was. And Sina, Sina's a really good friend of ours. For a number of years. She's always here for dinner whenever she's in town, and she's a great songwriter. So I recorded her Crowded Heart. That's another one I think could be a standard.
So it's heartening to find someone who's trying to find new standards and make them standards.
Yeah, that was kind of what Neil, I think, did Neil Tesser write? I don't think he wrote the notes, but Ted.
Yes, he did.
For Crowded Heart?
Oh, no, for the current one.
Oh yeah, for the current one he did, but for Crowded Heart, that, as I said before, it's a standard because people record it. So my purpose too was to say to other singers, here are these great songs. Just because Gregory Porter recorded it doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
Whatever. So presenting them as options.
What are the regular clubs you play in LA singing your music?
I play the Baked Potato. It's the oldest jazz club in Los Angeles.
Is that right? I didn't know.
Yeah, it's been around since 1970.
Wow.
So 55 years. And I've played Vibrato as Herb Alpert's club. It's actually the most beautiful jazz club. It's not totally a jazz club, but it's a supper club, and they feature a lot of jazz and then a lot of other things. And but it is so phenomenally gorgeous. Herb Alpert is a wonderful painter, and some of his paintings are,
oh, you mean literally,
ginormous.
Oh wow.
So kind of like scrims against the walls. So and besides that, it's just so well appointed.
But tell me this, since you're a powerful vocalist, and the way you mime these songs and your dynamic range, and you mentioned Blossom Dearie, who are some of your other favorite vocalists and why?
Okay, here we go. And some of these are going to be offbeat.
Good.
Okay, this is an offbeat. Abbey Lincoln, I adore.
Why?
And because, first of all, her songwriting, her voice, which changed so much. Yeah, her singing is, I like singers who you can feel their heart coming right through, and I love her songs. She was, as we know, was an activist and great songwriter, and had a lot of history. And so I've just been a fan of hers for a long time. And there's some favorite albums, like Gotta Pay the Band is one I really like. I played it over and over and over.
What's it called?
Gotta Pay the Band.
Gotta Pay the Band. Huh.
Yeah. So she's one. Shirley Horn, of course, is someone who, oh man, she just gets me. I think she's just so beautiful. Her use of space is crazy.
Huh.
I feel like I would love to be able to sing that way. I don't know if I'll ever get there, with just allowing so much space. But everything she did was just so tasty and so beautiful And her piano playing, oh my God, also phenomenal.
I don't know a lot about her,
Oh, you don't?
but I know people love her. Yeah.
We saw her in Hollywood at the Hollywood Roosevelt. This was the Cinegrill. I don't know when it was. It must have been, I feel like it was maybe the late 80s or something. And she had her little white gloves on and she took them off. She didn't really say a word to the audience, which I thought was kind of strange, but maybe that's just how she was.
Right.
Uh, but, just phenomenal. Well, Miles Davis particularly loved her. And
I know that either. Oh,
yeah, and Carmen, I love Carmen.
yeah, I do too. I don't
Um,
know if people even know who she is anymore.
are you serious?
I think,
Carmen,
generally speaking, Carmen McRae. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know who she is. I think
you
jazz
mean
vocalists.
jazz fans?
At the store, and our store is kind of a barometer. We have a pretty big vocal section. Her records are they're hard to come by. Um, that could be wrong. That's just my take on it. Like on Fridays, I spin records at a place called Kisa Kisa in Crown Heights. They have 5,000 jazz records on the wall, but I take a bunch of records anyway because they don't have any vocalists, you know.
Huh.
And I take Betty Carter and a little Sarah Vaughan, and I just feel like people. Not only does the average American not know what jazz is, jazz vocalist. I mean, we did have a guy who came in and said he thinks there's a young audience for jazz now. They're really into it because of people like Terrace Martin and maybe
Right,
Kamasi Washington. It's another story. I hope he's right. I'm not sure. And Esperanza Spalding is a freaking rock star. So
right.
hopefully that makes people dig deeper. And I hope this guy was right. He was just some, young black dude. Um, so what do you like about Carmen McRae?
Well, first of all, she was such a timester. I mean, her time was awesome.
That's interesting.
And her express, I was coached by my, when I was kind of at the beginning of when I started working on jazz. There was a great pianist arranger here in Los Angeles named Tom Garvin. And so he coached me a lot. And he had played with Sarah and Carmen and Peggy Lee.
Wow.
And, I would sing stuff and he'd go, well, Carmen would have phrased it like this, and so then he'd
Wow.
sing it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And so
Huh. What a
just her
resource.
phrasing, her just everything about her voice, she wasn't, I don't really notice her being a huge scatter. And it's not something I'm that interested in, quite
Right.
frankly. So yeah, I mean, just
She has
everything
so much
about her.
character. I have one of these. She did these records on Mainstream, which is kind of a forgotten level. It's a couple amazing Sarah Vaughan records on Mainstream as well. But she does a version of Anti Love Her, the Beatles song.
Uh-huh.
It is so great. It's just the introduction's great. She's great. Just remarkable stuff.
Yeah, and again, the heart that just can't help itself that comes through, when she sings. I also like Irene Kral a lot.
I don't
And
know anything about her.
if people don't know Carmen, there's probably hardly anybody, to vocalists, at least vocalists around my age and older, she's queen.
Huh.
I think, still, she certainly used to be. She died, I think she was in her mid 40s, died, I believe, of
Wow.
breast cancer. And it might have even been in 1978. I'd have to check the dates, but it was before I, I moved back to LA. She was a Los Angeles person, but she's got quite a few albums out. They're all absolutely incredible. I
What
mean,
do you
it's
like about her
just
in particular?
there's a simplicity. And if you ask me who most would you want to take after, be like, I think it would be Irene Kral
Wow.
because she's just, no bullshit, just sing the song,
Huh.
just, everything about her voice, her phrasing, her choice of tunes. She worked very closely with Alan Broadbent back in the day when he was a young, up and coming pianist. They had a very close collaboration and recorded with him too. So she's really one of my favorites too.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you're a singer's singer. You know all the real deal singers.
Well,
It's not just Ella and Sarah and
yeah, no, I love Ella, of course, but for some reason I don't go and listen to her. I should, but I listen to other people
who
first.
else?
I like Blossom Dearie. I like her swinging, approach. I think, her attitude. She sounds very little girlish and sweet, but underneath it, I'm not so sure she was that.
I get
I
the impression she was pretty tough, and she
I
would
think she was
kick your
tough.
ass.
I
Yeah.
think I don't know if I witnessed it or because I've seen her a couple of times, once in New York and once in Los Angeles at the Jazz Bakery. But I feel like I wonder if I witnessed it or heard about it, so I don't remember. But someone had their feet on the stage,
Oh man.
and I wouldn't want to have been him. Let's just say that. You
Yeah,
don't
she
want to
always
be humiliated.
there's a clip of her and playing some French TV show in the 60s or something with a trio, and man, she's just sublime. She's just witty and sharp and great
Yeah,
swinging
and
time.
kind of perfect,
Yeah.
and also, she came up with Bob Dorough and Dave Frischberg and premiered their songs. And
didn't know
so
that.
her taste was also so fabulous.
Yeah.
All their wonderful songs.
Wow. Have you ever performed in Japan?
I have not, but I would love to one day.
I really want to go to Japan because they have such a respect for jazz. It's incredible.
Yeah, I have a friend who goes a lot, like almost every year. But I've just never, I'm a very tiny person. So if I went to Japan,
You fit in.
I think I'd fit in a little bit
Yeah,
better.
right. Yeah. Well, they just have such a, I'm into all these jazz kisses and, I play records. There's so many of these listening bars now. Most of them don't play jazz, but I did like 5 months at a place next door. And they just pop up all over the place. And all that culture comes from Japan, where they have nice hi-fis and ancient records, and it's such respect for such an amazing culture. It's really, really something. Well, cool. Well, tell me what's next. What's next in your upcoming career plans? Have you already started working on another record? Or?
I have not started on another record yet, but I'm always thinking of stuff. I haven't had the light bulb go off yet, but I think it's too soon. I think I'm still digesting what I'm doing now, which is trying to get more work, trying to get more touring stuff happening. I just did a couple shows in New York, and
Where'd you play? Sorry, I missed it.
yeah, I played at Pangea, and I also was at Maureen's Jazz Club, Jazz Cellar in Nyack, and which is a great little club for sure.
Where is Pangea?
Pangea is in the Village.
Wow, it is?
Yeah, it's a supper club. It's, I think, on Second Avenue and 14th.
East Village. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm going up next week to the Sound Room in Oakland. So I'll be playing there. I had a show in Palm Springs, and there was somewhere else, I forgot where. But yeah, I'm booking show. I have a show at Scullers in Boston, but that's not for a while.
That's great.
And also, I'm gonna be in Tucson at some point. They have a beautiful club there, the Century Room. So I'll try and maybe hook up, if I can, some other Southwest dates to go.
That's fabulous.
See
So
what
No
happens.
Wonder came out May 9th. Is that correct?
No, it came out in January, the end of January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I know you and I have been talking for a while. You've been patient
yeah.
with me as I did all this crazy audio stuff I did, and still trying to recover, actually.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and I would just urge everybody to give your record a listen. It's just masterful.
Thank you, Ken.
Totally. And I'm a sincere person. I don't just say that to blow smoke. It's just so beautifully performed, really cool tunes. It's just such a strong, it's very, you represent, as the hip hoppers say.
Thank you. That means a lot to me coming from you.
Sure, it's
So
nice of you to
thank
say
you
that,
so
'cause
much.
there's nothing, this is not a laid back record. You know what I mean? It's a real performance, and it drives, and it's a really satisfying listen. So you're doing God's work. So keep it up, and I look forward to hearing your next record.
Thank you, Cam. This is a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And
Thank you
it
for your
was
patience.
very fun talking to you.
Great.